Many salutations to viewers and coins of the vault alike. I am Tatsumari, the self-proclaimed keeper of Maple Story lore. There are many who do it, but I am the only one who does it like me. Ha ha ha! So, yes, tonight I know that I am a little bit late tonight for the gaming and reading stream. That's because I was having some issues with my computer, mostly due to I was trying to render a outro for this evening, specifically for this evening, but come to find out that the latest graphics card driver that I had was not compatible with my video software, so I had to roll back the driver and just all kinds of not fun stuff. So that's why I'm a little bit late. But we are on our way tonight. And tonight, we shall be doing the prompt. Now, let me see if I can get out in the yard over here. All right. So tonight, I'm going to be doing a little gaming and seeing how many people are going to be submitting for this prompt right here, which is, as soon as I can get it to a spot where I can actually read it. No one knew what the consequences would be of our mage constantly using healing magic on all the party healing magic on all the party members. No one knows the dark side of healing magic. Now, if you'd like to have a short story that you wrote read live on stream, you can use the command that is on the screen there, which should be like exclamation point. Hold on, give me a second here. There we go. Yes, it should be exclamation point, read my thing. You should be able to use that on either YouTube or Twitch, and it should have no issue whatsoever on doing this stuff. I got like 5 things I'm doing at the same time. So, yeah, we shall be doing that, and I shall be building a factory while I'm waiting for those submissions. So, let me click on said thing over here, and here we are. We are in, once again, Satisfactory. And so far, it is actually turning out to be very satisfactory. And we shall see if your stories are also, well, maybe not see. We shall have some short stories that will all make it very satisfactory. Oh, wait, I gotta turn on the volume for you guys. I am sorry. Okay, so here we are. For those of you who are live over on Twitch, there is going to be an ad break coming up here in a couple of minutes, so if you're immune to ads, great. If not, well, you'll be back shortly. That will allow me to also get a bottle of water so that I don't dry out my throat. And then we shall have ourselves some rootin' tootin' hootin' time. Ha ha ha! But, yeah, in the meantime, I guess I can show you what I've been up to on this world. So yeah. And like I said, sorry guys, I'm a little late. Just, there was shenaniganery happening in the background on because of my computer, so that's why I'm a little late. So, as you can see, for those of you who don't remember, I have since extended this incoming iron train station for the steel factory, which is where we're currently in. I'm probably going to be expanding out the steel factory some more, or I don't exactly know what I'm going to be doing as far as this. But, oh, and if you do have a submission that you'd like to have read live on stream, why don't we wait until after the ad break is done, so that way we're not going to be, like, getting into a submission and then, oh no, we got to wait for the ad to be done. So that way it's all just pure, uninterrupted reading. So, yeah, I extended that out. And then over there in the iron factory, if you can see, if you can kind of see it, I have kind of worked on the amount of iron I am processing per minute. I have worked up the power facility. I don't have it all the way up to par yet, just because the stuff I need more stuff in order to make the bigger power factory. But currently, I am at 14,700. Losilor! Welcome, welcome. How are you doing? Oh, you know what? I better get that prompt online. There we go. So that way you guys, if you coming in, if you want to have a short story read live, you are just follow these rules, or let's see. For Twitch, follow those rules. For YouTube, follow those rules, and we'll be good. But I think there is an ad for the Twitch viewers going to start here in a couple seconds, so stick around. All right. So with that in mind, I am actually going to go take a short break myself, get myself a bottle of water so that when my throat doesn't dry out, and kind of get myself a little more comfortable over here on my end. So don't go anywhere. We shall be back after these massages. Oops, not that one. This one. There we go. All right, I have returned. Now, let's get back over to the factory, get the sound on for you guys. And now that I am here, we are actually ready to have some very satisfactory stories. All right, let's go. Hugo, you made it, buddy. Alrighty. So, I am currently... What do I currently want to work on? Gonna go boil my bones, and then I'll be in for a real. All right, Losi, thanks for coming. Thanks for the lurk for the moment. And go enjoy your boil. Oh, we got our first submission of the night, ladies and gents. We got something in by Mama Rednecks. Now, let's see exactly what she's got in store for us. Oh. Give me just a second here. Let me turn off this, because it's going to be sitting there for a while going beep, beep, beep. All right, so we'll get over here for the moment. And just as soon as Mama Redneck sends me the link, we'll check it out. We'll get into the writing office really quick and check it out. By the way, I got some homemade sourdough right here with me. So if you see my my beautiful self over here kind of go, that's why I'm chewing on some very good sourdough bread. All right, cool. So let me bring it up. Okay. Get into the writing office in just a second. Oh. Give me just a second here. There we are. Okay, let me pull it over here for you guys. Pull it over here for you guys. All right. So, this is The Mother's Unraveling by Mama Rednecks. The thunderous steps of the paladin struck in steady rhythm, a drumbeat of discipline that betrayed his identity, distinct as a fingerprint to her trained ears. It had been decades prior when the young squire Mordecai had been pierced with a poisonous arrow. Refin had heard his screams of pain and his refusal to lose the limb. Without her help, he would lose far more. The poison would still his heart, only to reanimate it once more under the control of the necromancer. Her mentor had forbidden it, but she had not listened, believing in her youth that mercy was to heal without limit. Even still, she tried to stop the tethering, leaving the young man with the slightest hitch in his step. A left foot that dragged just enough before planting firmly. She knew the sound intimately from the countless nights it would sound outside her door. He never asked for more, but he never could quite stop before reaching her door either. As she rose in the ranks of the Order of the Dawn, he followed, swearing his allegiance to the same. The evidence of their connection, though, lingered in his vitality, the slightest slowing of his human aging. Age had provided wisdom, but the ache for her magic would never fully heal. Mother, the strong voice spoke, awe still ever present in his tone. It has been too long since my last pilgrimage. Refin smiled fondly at his adherence to formalities. With his helm tucked firmly under his arm, the salt-and-peppered flecked beard reflected his age, but the vitality of his body held their sin. Come, Mordecai, I have not held that position for some time. You needn't address me as such, not between old friends. Her voice was warm, but when she beheld his face, the warmth receded. What is it? Mordecai knelt, bowing low, before taking a deep breath and looking up at her.
I come on behalf of the people of Dwemer, a small town on the outskirts of our region.
Refn waited patiently for him to continue, fear growing as the pain spread from his eyes to his face.
You are needed, Mother, and I dare not ask another to take this burden. Aquashef is destroying the town and its people.
His voice grew dark.
I am among your victims.
Refn's eyes closed as she fought back the emotions that ripped through her. Akashef, once a healer but twisted by corruption. Those whom she once healed, any whose tendrils of life wound with hers, would now be victims in her corruption. Oh, Mordecai, what have you done? Refn asked softly. Tell me every detail. As Mordecai spoke, the pain within Refn grew only stronger. Kashef no longer healed. Instead, it siphoned the vitality of its victims. Life snuffed out to feed the vile creature whose corruption would seep into the land. Crops would wither from blight. Epizootics would ravage herds both wild and domestic. The worst, though, came from the method used to eradicate the Kashef. By destroying it, all of those whom she had healed would be undone. Wounds would reappear, pain would return tenfold, death would surge amongst her victims. Who is she? Refn asked as his story drew to a close.
Morwenna the Morning Star,
he whispered. With a deep sigh, Refn nodded. She remembered the healer. Older than she, Morwenna had been shunned from the Order for failing to adhere to the practice of preservation. Her healing should have been bound, but that did not always stop Kashef from being created. You understand what this means, Mordecai? Refn's voice was barely a whisper. What will happen when I untangle her threads that are bound to her? He nodded but once. His jaw clenched tightly, causing the muscles to twitch.
I do, Mother.
With tears in her eyes, she turned to the man who had followed her, pursued her for so many years. How much? Mordecai paled, shame filling his eyes as he refused to meet her gaze.
Far more than our entanglement.
The confusion landed like a blade between her ribs. She looked at him, the man who had followed her through decades, who had never begged for her touch, but had never stopped seeking her nearness. How many times had he gone to Morwenna? Had she pushed him to seek healing from others, or had he been taken to her to preserve his life? Neither mattered. Whatever once was gone, poisoned and tied to corruption. Together they rode, Refn's arms around a metal waist on the back of a warhorse whose name had been replaced so often it held no meaning. The trees began to twist as they rode into the bog. At the heart of the moor stood a decrepit hovel, and from inside emerged the Kashef, withered skin and blackened veins. You bring a sister, fair Mordecai, a mother none the less, the creature hissed. Mordecai drew his blade, the singing of metal filling the air, only for tendrils of blackened smoke to erupt from the Kashef's outstretched claw, wrapping around his arms and chest. The light within him was being drawn out as the life force was siphoned out of him. He staggered, but did not fall. Refn channeled quickly, her power reaching out and burrowing deep into the creature's chest. Not healing. Unraveling. Thread by thread, Refn released the hold that Morwenna had placed over the people in land. The Koshchef screamed in agony as each thread unraveled. Mordecai's among them, bright and as stubborn as ever. He dropped to his knees in a clattering of metal. The wounds he'd sustained, ripping open, were hidden beneath his armor. He gasped, a sound Refn had not heard since that battlefield tent the day she tied his thread to her. She caught him before he could fully fall. His weight felt heavier than it should have. His eyes caught hers before they drained with his last breath. Silently, Refn rode back to her library, now knowing the true, dark side of healing magic. All right, let's go! That was very, very satisfactory. Thank you very much for that story, Mama Rednecks. I couldn't help but notice that maybe there was some, because I know you've been telling me sometimes you've been reading and listening to some of Sacred Tears. It kind of sounds like there was a little bit of maybe inspiration from that, a little bit. I'm not trying to say, this is no, it's by no means. It just that's what kind of reminded me of. But especially the part about the what was it, the tying of the lives a little bit. It kind of reminded me of that, but that's beyond the point. It was really good. So, like, on that one, is it kind of like when the healing is, like, for this particular one, I take it that he was basically on the verge of death. So to prevent that, she tied his own life to hers as well. And I take it that she is like some kind of long-lived race, like an elf or something like that, or maybe some other magical creature of some kind. Is that why he had lived so long, I take it? Okay, high elf, okay. So yeah, that would definitely explain if his life was tied to hers, that's why he lived so long. And yeah, so then from what it sounds like, maybe the Mordecai, he got some healing from Morwenna at some point and ended up having basically what amounted to like a double tying. Is that kind of what happened there? Okay, I already set this one up. Yes, I already set that one up properly. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do for this one, we're going to... Should be naturally died and Morwenna stopped it. Okay. So, oops. That's not what I wanted. Still get a clappy from me. Anyways, so what was her name again? I'm drawing a blank here for a second. Refn. She saved his life once already, right? So then... Okay, so Refn saved his life, and then Rowena saved his life again. Thank you very much. Is that kind of what I'm hopeful I'm understanding that right? Okay. So then from what it sounds like, whoever was the last person to save your life is the one whose life you're tied to. Is that also kind of how it works? At least for this prompt anyways, whether this is part of a larger story or not is yet to be seen, but is that kind of how you imagine it happening? Okay, so I need more of those. Okay, so what does it take for these? Okay. So I need to make enough for... Right. So it almost sounds like what it was is that in order to save his life... You're good. Is that when this like tying of life force happens, is that there's kind of like what amounts to like a supernatural shockwave throughout like different life forces or something? Is that kind of what you were going for? So how many I got here? 6. Okay, so 6. Okay. All right. So, all right. No, I need to. Okay, we need more pipes. So you have to borrow life from somewhere else. Okay. And then just whatever happens to be nearby, you kind of just basically rip it out of those creatures or those people. And because they now have a weakened life force, it's either weakened or it's been removed from them, it kind of basically turns them into like either a zombie or an undead kind of deal. Or like not even really an undead, just kind of like a weakened human or a weakened being. Okay, I need pipes. All right. Oh, there's some of those. That's always good stuff. I'll say yes for the moment. Because like I said, the rating is kind of like PG-13 a little bit, so you know I can see that, you know, have a fade to black, but as long as you just don't get too descriptive, I guess you could say, in the lead up to the fade to black. Koshef would be like a necromancer, except it feeds on the life force. Okay, or so like a life force vampire kind of deal. Because from at least my understanding is that a necromancer is the mage that controls undead, whereas a vampire, whether it feeds on blood or anything else, needs to feed on something else from something else. Okay. All right. Well, again, that story was very satisfactory. And we'll see if anyone else has any more submissions. And again, thank you very much, Mama Rednecks, and I hope I did your story justice. At least how you heard it in your own head. All right, so let's go get... We need some motors, some encased industrial beams, some copper sheet. We need everything. Thank you very much, Mama Rednecks. Ah, no, that's the wrong way. Well, let's just go this way. Gotta wait for the train to go by. There it is! I caught it live on stream! The steam train whistle! Alrighty. So now let's go the way we wanted to. Yeah, there's a bunch of Easter eggs everywhere. Speaking of which, speaking of Easter eggs, I saw this earlier, and I'm not exactly sure what it's supposed to be, but right here, I want to say this is like one of the developers from Coffee Stain Studios, but there's a little sticker over here of somebody on the train. I'm not sure if that's one of the developers or if that's like a picture of 4 of the developers from Coffee Stain Studios. Either way, I found it. Ha ha ha. I see it. I don't know if I'm the first or not, but it is here. Anyways. There's like little Easter eggs spread throughout the game. One of which is when you go to unlock other tiers of stuff. There's like a little animated fist that slams down on the big red threatening button when you go to launch the stuff. And then there's the whistle, which I think, if I remember correctly, I think has like a 2% chance of actually happening every time you honk the horn. So, yeah. And I've had it happen multiple times. But that was the first time I actually got it to happen on stream. Without any scripts or mods or anything like that to get it to do it live for me. Tell me about the inspiration for the prompt. Was it Sacred Tears inspired? I'm on chapter 11 now. Ooh, okay. Let's wait a little bit longer to see if we have any more prompt submissions. Let's wait another about 15 minutes if we have any more submissions then. And if we don't, then I'll give the inspiration behind the prompt. All right, so we need motors that are over here, right? No, they are over here. All right, all right. Okay, we're full on motors. Now we need some encased beams. Hopefully we're going to have enough because... All right, Pans. All good. All right, yes, we have enough beams. Yay! Okay, so now we need to go over here to get some steel pipes. Did you, Pans, did you have a bunch of, like, teh all over the place? T-E-H instead of the? Right. Doo-doo. Doo-doo. Okay, grab some pipes. And some more pipes. Cool. Okay, now I just need to go get the copper sheets. Whee! I'm flying! Oh, and don't let me forget. I'll give you guys a full tour of the my finished world factory. I'll give you a tour of my full factory on like my finished world that has like everything done. It's the end of the game. It has a nuclear power plant going. Has almost like a gigawatt worth of power running through the entire thing. It's intense. All right, this gets back to my train over here. Yes, you did. On Wednesday, I believe it was. Yeah, you did tell me about that on Wednesday. So, nicely done, Hugo. Now, is this the one you're looking to get published, or is this one that you've been kind of working on just to work on? Ooh. Ah! No! I crashed! Yeah, this is what happened when you text and drive, kids. So what happens after the third pass? What do you mean? Third pass to what? Oh, from what I understand, as far as publishing goes, there are like dozens of routes you can go now. I heard one person kind of basically said to stay away from on. Okay, there we go. There's like I watched a video the other day talking about that. There was like traditional publishing you could go. Well, I can tell you kind of what I found out, at least on like just different stuff. I won't say it's comprehensive, just kind of what I found out. There is once you get it like all polished as much as you can, the next thing you actually want to go through is, I guess, get the formatting correct first of all, but then you also want to get it sent to like this is like on all levels. Like the same rules apply, at least from what I've heard. The same applies to all levels, whether it's self-publishing, direct. I think it was a thing called direct selling, or you go the traditional route. The rules are basically all the same. It just depends on how much work you have to do. The next step after doing your part is to set it to somebody for editing. Because you might have done all the editing you can, but there may be stuff that you missed or that you don't know about. So, and I know I suffer from this too, but if you're working on something, you yourself are, for lack of better terms, you are too close to it to see issues. So you send it to somebody else, like, there are two different ones. There's beta readers, which is kind of help you out as you're going. They're not editors. Editors are people who are trained and have trained themselves. I don't know the level of it. they are basically trained to look for issues, whether it be plot related, whether it be spelling or like the English language mechanically done, whether it's style issues, whether it's, just they are there to look for issues. And trust me, there will be a lot. You will probably look at it and you're going, why is there like 15 times more red ink than there is black ink? It's gonna hurt. That's all there is to it. It's gonna hurt. So there is that. And then from what I understand, that process actually takes a while because it's not just once. You have to, make some edits, send it back to the editor, and they're like, at least from the couple people I did hear it from, it takes at least 2 or 3 passes to go from writer to editor back and forth to kind of work out the issues that are there. At least you'd want to do that. And then after that, it depends on, I think there's like some cover art maybe you want to go through. The steps that I am thinking of, they're a little blurry at the moment. I can't remember if like they're all in order, but not necessarily in order, but they are steps you want to take. Writer friends are good as a starting point, but if you have one of readers that really appreciate work, we're saving. Yeah, so listen to both Mama and Liv over there. Speaking of which, Liv, welcome. How are you doing this evening? So, and as far as the cover art goes, that is another thing that you're gonna have to put out a little bit of money for. Mason, welcome. Got all kinds of people. Got OGs, OG followers, OG coins in the vault. Chill days. Nice, very nice. But at least from what I understood, whether this is like the right way to go or not is not the point. The cover art you want to do, you actually want to spend a little bit of money on that, because that way you may have a cover that you're like, oh yeah, I really like this. Well, you'll like it, but it might not actually catch anybody's eye in the bookstore. So it goes from there. You gotta pick your font. If you're going for a picture background, what kind of picture you want to do, what colors to use. Also, I know maybe sometimes some people have a title for the story in mind, but sometimes that title's just not going to work for the story you have all together. Sure, we can check it out at least, because if you have something already done, this will at least kind of give you an idea of maybe what you're looking for. Yeah, exactly what Mama Redneck said there. You may have an idea of what you're looking for, but somebody who makes cover art for a living, they will have a better idea of how to basically refine kind of what you want into something that will actually catch somebody's eye. Mason over here taking notes. And by the way, for anybody who's listening to this live or who is going to be listening to this later, don't take this as from me as absolute law. I am probably the last person you should be talking to about this. This is just stuff that I have heard and come across along the way. Yeah, there, exactly what Liv said there. However, there is also the self-publishing route, but all of the stuff is all on you. You have to do the research. You have to do you have to just do everything, including the marketing. And I think there's also the direct to reader route. I think is another one that I heard of recently, but which I'm pretty sure has the same amount of effort. Wait, I didn't want to go here. That you have to do. It's all on your shoulders. But yeah. Because if you go the self-publishing route, you know, you basically have to go through like Amazon or something like that, or just as an example, not necessarily the, you know, you have to do this. Just as an example, in order to sell it, you'd have to go through Amazon or something like that. And then, you know, they take a cut of stuff because, you know, you're basically using your store, or you're using their store to do your stuff. Whereas if you go like direct to seller, you're basically turning into like a door-to-door salesman after that. And you know, there could be issues with that, at least I see off the top of my head. But yes, so there is a lot to consider. At the very least, I would check out some stuff there. At least from what I have seen, you can talk to Mama Rednecks and probably Live over here. They seem to know a little bit more about this. I am nowhere near in the realm of publishing a book myself. They probably know better stuff. Also, some other things that I have seen, or at least across YouTube, there is a writer on YouTube by the name of Jenna Morassi. She has a few videos that I have seen that kind of detail what it takes for the publishing route, whether it's self-publishing or traditional, where you have to get an agent, you have to go like very big routes and stuff like that. But from what I understand, if you go the traditional route, that you basically better have yourself another job, because you're not going to make, unless you sell like a bazillion copies, you aren't going to make like pretty much any kind of livable wage off of that, let alone to buy yourself coffee in the morning. All right, so let's check out this picture over here. Okay. All right. Do you mind if I were to show this on stream, Hugo, or do you want to are you just showing it to me? All right. So let me get in the writing office over here. All right. So this is the book cover that you have this is yours that you have designed, correct? It looks interesting to me, and just kind of like the book cover itself, it maybe have something to do with some maybe some tarot cards, and maybe having to do with maybe like a romance or something like that. At least this is just based off of this. But the story in itself, this just kind of guessing of what I have seen in the past, this might not be a very good, like something to put out there. This is good, like a good something, kind of what your initial thoughts may be. But if you were to go to a cover creator of some kind, they would have a better idea of what would actually sell. So that way you can come back, and when it hits the shelf, you can definitely be sure that at least somebody is going to buy it. Because the last thing you need is to go put it up there. You spent like you would spend somewhere, it's a good few thousand. It's a good few thousand to try to get everything up and running if you're going to go the self-publishing route. But that's it is something to at least think about, because I'm talking in circles here. Yeah, so at the very least, you might want to, if you're going to have this sold in places, it's probably a good idea to try to get somebody who is a professional at this, so that way your efforts in, first of all, even writing the stupid thing, in writing the story in the first place, is not going to go to waste. Because the last thing you need is to spend hundreds, if not thousands of hours creating this, what could be a masterpiece, and, you know, it's suddenly flopping because you have the wrong cover art. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. All right. Well, see, that's kind of the problem with it, is like not wanting to sink too much money in it. You're gonna have to end up cutting some corners, and it's going to show. It will, something's gonna get skipped out on because you didn't, like, say, if you don't want to spend too much money on editing, okay, cool. You probably get maybe a couple buddies who are good at editing, and then sure, they'll do some editing, but they may have missed a major plot hole that is basically story destroying. Whereas if you were to pay somebody who is a little more experienced in it, you know, yes, it's going to be more money, but there will be fewer mistakes on the final product. Because some other videos that I have seen have stated that is kind of the big thing that a lot of stories are, at least modern stories, are kind of going through, is that it's a little obvious, or not, maybe not obvious, but it is visible to the average person that some corners were cut somewhere. And so, while yes, it is a bit of a barrier of entry, at the same time, if you don't go through those steps, the overall effort might go to waste. Well, you know, from what I've come to understand, this, again, I can't say, I can't really say anything for sure, because I myself am not a quote-unquote career author. You know, I work in construction. I basically just do writing on the side and say, hey, people, do you like to write? Do you want to write along with me and make a bunch of mistakes? Well, guess what? I'm here doing that. And from what from what I understand, I could be wrong, but you really, unless you're like a god, you really have to hustle when it comes to even being able to attempt to turning it into a career. Yeah. And there are all kinds of ups and downs with both of those. there is going to be, it's going to be rough. I'll tell you that. I am not going to sugarcoat it for you. It's going to be rough. But nothing that is ever worth doing is ever easy. Although there's sometimes there are some things where you just got to learn to say, well, you know, this isn't working out for me. There are some cases in that. But for the most part, as long as you just stick with it and try to make all the steps you take to make sure that they are in at the very least a positive direction, whether it's a baby step or a giant leap, as long as all the steps you take are in a positive direction, you're going places. Are there going to be times where you end up having to take steps back? Yes. But at least try your best to make sure all the steps you make are in a positive direction. Is it going to take much longer? Yes, much, much longer. Yeah. I mean, heck, for all we know, you could put this one out there and you could be like the chick who did To Kill a Mockingbird. I think was it that one? To Kill a Mockingbird, or was it Pride? I can't remember which one. It was one that Randy Feltface talked about a while ago. Yeah, I think it was the author who did To Kill a Mockingbird. You know, just did the one and nailed it. You know, and suddenly you're like the most famous person in the world. You did one book and ho ho ho, kaboom, you're blowing up. Yeah, you know, there is that experience. You know, you enjoyed writing it. Cool. But if you were to at the very least, before you throw it up anywhere, whether you know, depending, whatever publishing route you pick, as long as you were to, at the very least, get somebody to, I think it's called copy editing. I could be wrong, but at least an editor to go through it with you to make sure you have the fewest amount of mistakes. So that way, in case you get some snob coming along whose opinion weighs more than like 80,000 tons of tungsten, you can just at least say that your spelling and your prose and all of this stuff, all of that stuff has been ironed out to make it look like you know what you're doing. If that makes sense. Okay, so we've got that going. So right now, I think I'm just going to use these Mark III belts because that is what I have the most of. All right, cool. And 50, yeah, exactly. Sometimes I look at that stuff, Twilight and 50 Shades, both of them. I look at those and saying, look, I think my stuff that I do is at least of better quality content than that. And if that stuff can blow up, maybe there's some hope out there. Yeah, hey, Liv, that's basically where my main story that I'm working on is. It is a fanfic. Straight up. It's probably never going to be published, but it's a straight up fanfic. Okay. All right, pants. So hot take, I do I do not see how Harry Potter stayed that popular. I see how it stayed that way, but I mean, come on. Exactly. You know. Alrighty. Let me get some water down the gullet. Oh. Okay. So, I just looked over in my dashboard over here. We do actually have an ad break coming up here shortly. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and run an ad break really quick, so that way we can get it out of the way and we won't have any interruptions. For those of you who are immune to ads, you get to see a nice little, little kind of intermediate animation. But for those of you who are not immune to ads, well, you'll be back shortly. So don't go anywhere. We shall be back after these massages. All right. So, I believe we are back. Let me get back over here. Get this on. All right. So, let's get back over here for this. Okay. So, what is the title of this little short here? Pans? Do you have a particular title for it, or is it just Just the thing. All right. Well, for the moment, if you don't have a title, don't worry about it. We shall just call it the prompt story. Alrighty. So let's get into the writing office over here. Oh, whoops. Nope, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Alright, so. Alright, so this is the prompt story from Attracted to Pans. Here she was, standing in a wasteland of another plane. Cleo hated the idea of the mission, and she hated it even more now that she was in it. Her hands gripped a long-grown wand that stretched into a staff as long as herself from her wood manipulations. Her friends were behind her, each covered in various scars and wounds. Scars had healed long ago, but the wounds were hers to care for now. She stared into the air, feeling the magic like electricity traveling up her spine. She could see the zombies running up the horizon with no stop in sight.
More? Are we sure there's not a spawner around here?
The barbarian coughed out blood.
There's no way this many zombies are here naturally. There's nothing to eat.
Nothing but us. Bear your weapons. The portal will not be far. The rangers stood just behind Cleo, dousing the edges of their arrows in fire. Assuming they even
kept it open for us.
Cleo finally felt the magic reach her eyes. She directed it to gather around her staff. She hated the idea of attracting the zombies more. They were attracted to magic. It's why she was the only magic user of their crew. Zombies were made of magic. No one knew exactly why, but Cleo had known of locked-away books in her school's library. Books that she maybe not so legally read. Zombies, as far as most people knew, were constructs. Creations of a wizard long turned evil and left to rot after he died. That's not what Cleo knew. They were the use of healing magic. They were the use of healing magic used to resurrect long ago for someone who didn't even live long enough for the sacrifice to be equal. When the spell was cast, the wizard was exiled here to this plane. His power was mighty. It was why the Wizard Council could not execute him. The wizard was mighty enough to pull the energy of every living thing in this plane's existence. The fact that the zombies would be attracted to healing magic was a no-brainer. Cleo had a PhD in healing magic, after all. She knew how every magic pulled from something. She pulled her magic from what was around her, just as everything else did. Fire magic is pulled from heat, usually from the body. She was used to nights gathering, shivering around a fire pit, trying to save herself from hypothermia. Water magic pulled from the body's skin, the water particles that encased them. That's why she carried so many drinking pouches. Air magic pulled from the person's breath. Cleo had to perform CPR in her air magic classes too many times to count. That's why she started to learn healing magic. Ground magic pulled from one's strength. That's why so many warriors could control the grounds.
Cleo
Felt her magic expand. Each breath was staggered to be the most efficient it could be. She could identify the millions of zombies across the plain. She could feel her legs weakening. Flaming arrows appeared at the edge of her vision, and she saw the others charge in as she stood, stuck, feet planted like trees. When she finally let the magic spill, the spell was cast, the rotting bodies screamed. They were placed in agonizing pain, she knew from experience. She was older than her papers said by almost 20 years. It's what healing magic did to someone. Her companions must have noticed that the zombies had stopped moving. They looked to her as their wounds healed, and they began to look younger. Cleo swore she felt a wrinkle on her head flatten together. When the screams ended, she looked to herself. Her robes were just an inch too tall, and her staff was the size of her. The barbarian had so few scars, one would not believe he was as rebounded as he was. No, I think I had it right the first time. Redounded as he was. The ranger had looser clothes now, having to constantly readjust their hood. She could only hope she did not give them all too much time. Very nice, very nice. That was indeed very, very satisfactory. All right. I want my next story is to be low stakes tale of the days witches living deeper in the mystic woods. All right, Hugo, thanks for coming, and I hope to see you at the end. So, overall, yes, very nice, nicely done, Pans. Very, very satisfactory. Give me a second here. Oops. Nope. I don't want to start the chainsaw. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So I kind of like the idea that you actually have to study in healing magic a little bit. I'd say that's actually something I'm doing in my story a little bit, to where, you know, you can be a very powerful healer, but if you don't understand how the body works initially, then your healing magic is going to be a little bit underwhelming. Like, sure, you could use a healing magic to try and heal somebody's leg, but if you don't know how to set a bone or kind of like how the muscles work, you're not going to be able to fully heal that wound, because it's not going to be as effective as it would with that knowledge. I like that. That's cool. Let me see. And then, yeah. And then having the other magics, the other elemental magics, actually pull from your own person rather than the elements around you. That's kind of scary. Like, especially with the fire magic. I can only imagine if you try to do like an absolute, say, like a D&D level max power fireball, you'd probably freeze to death just like instantly. Because, you know, it requires so much heat in order to do that. You're just like, fire, and you're frozen. I think if I had actually sat down for longer, I would have expended more on that. It's one of my favorite things to add to Magic System. Nice. Okay, cool. Cool. All right, let me see. Oh, 15? Wow. It's a lot less than I thought it was. Okay. Let's see. Wow. All right. Well, we shall take this apart because we're going to do something a little different with the copper. But overall, yes, very nicely done, Pans. Yep. Yeah, big clappies. Let's get some clappies in the chat for Pans over here. Don't worry, I think I'm having internet lags on my side too. It could be my side too, so don't worry about it. Don't worry too much about it. Let's put it that way. All right. So let me see. There we go. So we're gonna turn this around. I do way more now. All right. So, I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes, and then I'll tell you guys. It depends on where you kind of lagged out at. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so, anyways, I was saying that I can only imagine what it would be like, because if you're drawing on your own body heat, I can only imagine what it would be like to try and cast something like a D&D max damage fireball. You know, you go to cast a fireball and you basically freeze to death in the middle of the desert because you basically just sapped all your body heat out. Watt16! Welcome, welcome. How you doing? As rather than pulling from like elemental sources around you. All right, nice. What? Really good, really good. So let's see. Let me count how many I got going on. How many I've got going on here? Because I need 18. I don't need 18, but it would optimally be 18. 16. Okay, so 2 more. Uno. Dos. All right. So, let's see. And I'm going to bring that top level one all the way over. I actually had kind of something similar in a... Oops. No, not that one. Something similar in a story, original story of mine that I was working on, where the whole main premise of it is it follows some, like, what amounts to super soldiers. The whole story takes place in say far future. It's kind of a like post-apocalypse fantasy kind of deal. It's an original story that I initially wrote when I was like I want to say 13 or 14. But you know, I've done some refining to it so it's a little more comprehensive, a little bit better. I had the first couple maybe chapter and a half done, basically rewritten. But the way I did there is that these super soldiers, they have the ability to manipulate the element around them. Like the main character, he has the title of Tsar of Fire. So obviously his elemental ability is fire, but it doesn't go quite where it's it sucks your own heat out, but there are also advantages and disadvantages to being in certain places. So where as Korax, Tsar of Fire, if he would be in a hot desert, he would actually be more powerful than if he was just in a regular, say, just a regular temperate climate. And if he were in a, say, like a colder area, maybe even like a mountain range or even like Antarctica or something like that, he would have a much more difficult time trying to manifest his powers. But somebody else, like, I think let's see, what was it? Oh, yeah. His brother, younger brother, or was it older brother? I can't remember exactly which one it was. I had to go back and look at it, but that's beside the point. His brother, we'll put it that way, his brother had ice abilities. So where Korax would be strong in a hot desert, he would be weak. And if he went to like an Arctic territory, the reverse would happen. Korax would be weak, and his brother would be strong. So, but anyways, you had yours is really interesting, drawing from your own inventory, so to speak, of stuff. All right, so that's that one. 2, 3. Okay, so you know what? Let me... And like the other thing I'm still working on, I'm trying to refine it some more, but it kind of goes off of... let me... You know what? Let me look it up really quick because I don't remember what it's called. And I want to make sure I sound at least halfway intelligent. Oh, okay. So it kind of works the way it's not really, well, it is and it isn't at the same time magic. It works off the Kardashev scale where, if you have like a tier society, like a tier, it's like, I think it's a tier 3 or 4 society. It's like basically interstellar society, but you can... Oh, type 5. There we go. That's the one. Where once you reach like a type 5 civilization, your technology is to such a point to where it's indistinguishable from what we would call magic. I started back rewriting the crime drama after taking a month break from it and writing a fantasy series. Nice! So, and to where, let's say, Tsar of Fire, Korax, his abilities are centered around fire. He has his own inner genetic abilities to control it, but like it is then amplified, or shall we say even possible, by using this, what looks to be kind of, for lack of better terms, like a black gauntlet kind of thing attached to his arm, where it's a really high-tech thing that allows him to use his genetic ability to manipulate fire and amplifies it to such a degree to where now he can have just basically fire on command, to the point to where he can take fire and solidify it. Not plasma. I know that's a thing. Not plasma. Actual fire itself. He can solidify fire. Let that one bake your noodle. All right. I love when you get to mess around with level 5 kind of things. All right. So, I know Mama Rednecks over here has been chomping at the bit to find out kind of where this prompt came from, or the inspiration behind this prompt. So, you know, pick up a napkin and wipe your chops. You know, you don't have to drool no more. I'll let you know. So, it was a long time ago. I don't know how many years because I have lost track. But, and I think this is when I first started getting up on Instagram. There was a, hold on, I lost track of it. Ah, no! There was a, I am like suddenly drawing a huge blank right now. There was I could have sworn it was a writing page, and what it was talking about was, again, this nobody talks about the dark side of healing magic. And what it was using as an example, it followed the life of this female paladin who the party healer, of course, you know, was using healing magic on them all the time. And being that this paladin was constantly on the front lines, she was the one taking the most damage, so she was getting exposed to a lot of healing magic. Well, you know, after the party, you know, did the thing, they went and defeated the big bad demon lord, you know, all the hero stuff. Yay! What ended up happening, because she got exposed to so much healing magic, is that it started manifesting in a way that started to basically turn her into a goddess. And like the initial thing is that people noticed that she wasn't aging anymore, and in fact some of her aging was reversed, which is, you know, something I saw in yours, Pans. And eventually she got to the point to where, I know, you know, being she was a paladin, she was like 6'9" or something like that. I can't remember but she was portrayed as really tall, but she had the appearance of like a late teenager or something like that, and at the peak of physical strength. So, you know, walking around in big heavy armor and all that, and she had to watch her friends who hadn't been exposed to so much healing magic, one by one, they would eventually succumb to age. You know, they would die. But she, being that she was exposed to so much healing magic, she was functionally immortal. And because of that, you know, she started also manifesting some powers of her own. And the people that she had known in the kingdom before, you know, oh yeah, you know, some of the older folks were like, oh yeah, you know, I have known you since you grew up, and wow, you know, what's your skincare routine and what do you do to stay young and all that. And eventually it got to the point to where, you know, those people died off, and now, you know, their kids were kind of growing up and they had been around this person, but they were still kind of wary of her because, you know, she's not aging and she's actually getting more and more powerful as the years go by. And then when that generation died out, then the next generation took over, and they started to basically fear her because she had been exposed to so much healing magic. She was like less and less human because of all the healing magic that she got hit with. So anyways, that's, I mean, I can't remember exactly how it ended, whether she became she ended up turning into a full-on goddess or not, or anything, but the ultimate point is that she was basically no longer seen as human, and people started to fear her. So anyways, that's where the inspiration for the prompt came from. All right, so let me grab some cables. Where's my cables? There it is. Yeah, and that's always kind of stuck with me. I've actually wanted to do a story, something like that, maybe sometime. I have, kind of something stuck in the back of my head that may work, but it's not. I don't want to do it and risk being like, oh, I ripped this idea off. It's kind of just, one of those things that's it's stuck in the back of my head now that I've always remembered. And whoever was the person that came up with that, big old prompts to you, whoever you are. I don't remember who it was that came up with it or what their name was or anything like that, but whoever it was, big old prompts to you. That is stuck in my head for the longest time. So yeah. And so far, thanks to Attracted to Pans and Mama Rednecks for your submissions. If I remember correctly, there was an anime that had somewhat similar premise. It was called The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic. Ah, yes! I kind of remember that one a little bit. That's when you know the idea is worthwhile. JT just stays with you. Yep. I think I've heard of that one. Isn't that the one where, like, basically the main healer, she's like this green-haired, really tough woman who is responsible for teaching somebody else how to use their magic in a similar way? All right, yeah, okay. So I am familiar with it. I have not watched it, but I am familiar with it. All right. So, anyways, thanks to Pans and Mama Rednecks for your submissions so far. Submissions are still open for the duration of the stream. We've got another 40-ish minutes or so before I have to call it a night. So, if we get any more submissions, we shall check them out. And then, as I read them, hopefully they will be satisfactory. No! All right. Can we make it this time? Yay, we made it this time. All right. Alrighty, so alright, so this is it's the pure copper ingot. Wow. That's a lot more powerful than it used to be. Because I could have sworn it took like 20 copper, 20, like this one right here. Initially, hold on. Let me get to a different spot. Where am I? There am I. Come on. This is a video game character. This is not me. I should be able to fit through that hole. Anyways. Can I make... Yes. Okay. So when you first boot up this game, this is your first machine that you can use to smelt metals. One of the big three metals that you can get, there's iron, there's copper, and there's gold. Initially, when you first boot up the game, you have this. This is the smelter. And when you do it, you can make iron ingots, copper ingots, or caterium, aka gold. For copper, you can put 30 ore in, you get 30 ingots out. However, copper is a much rarer resource in the world than iron is. So throughout the game, as you play, you come across these things called hard drives, where you take them to a machine called a MAM, you scan them, and you can get alternate recipes for things that you build in the world, whether it's later stuff or even just the base elements. One of those alternate recipes uses this machine called a refinery, and you can use the recipe right here, pure copper ingots, where you use some water and you use less copper ore to make more copper ingots. This recipe is, it saves you so much resources. But previously, I could have sworn that it was like 20 copper ore initially. And it used 10 water. But now it's 15 ore. Now it's 15 ore, so that means I can set up more refineries per conveyor belt of stuff and have more ingots being made at a time. I can use less resources to make more resources. All right, give me a second here, guys. I have an important text message that I need to attend to, so give me a minute here. All right. Sorry about that, chat. Well, Liv, if you can squeeze in 1,000 words before the end of it, by all means, go for it. All right. All right. So. Sound like a karate master. All right. Let's get some more stuff going here. Huh. You can do it! Well. All right. That's a start. All right. All right. So we got basically 2 belts worth of copper. 270 items per minute belts of copper that we're going to be using here. So, what we are going to do now, we are going to basically take these apart because we don't need this many belts anymore. Okay. Okay. And then we're going to come back over here to this side, and what we're going to do is we're going to combine belts. Nope, not you. So that way, we have a fairly good stock of copper ore to do the thing for a good long while. Okay, so we're going to grab you, bring you boot up like so. Okay. Put you there. I see. I can just imagine Liv over here is just like absolutely typing like an absolute madman. And all I can think about in the back of my head is like a Sir David Attenborough like narration. Here we see the mighty Liv in her natural habitat, typing away at a keyboard, trying to do her best to get into a stream that she has been watching for the past 30 minutes. But as we know, writing in the English language can be hard. And so, we shall leave her be to do her story in peace. Oh, what's going on here? Are these... What are these? They're splitters. Why is this not splitting? Because that didn't... That one went all the way through. There we go. Let me laugh. I'm writing serious consequences. I'm sorry, Liv. All right. So now, let's get down below over here. And we shall do some combining. So it's these 4 that are no longer a thing. Okay, get rid of you. I believe we had 6 cars, right? Yes, okay. So we're going to do 3 and 3 for each conveyor belt, and we should have plenty to keep this little factory up and running for a good long while. Oops, nope, not that one. This one. There we go. Doot, 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 doot. Okay. Okay, and then doot, doot. Alrighty. Cool. Get another one of you. 1, 2. All right. Okay. All right, we got our ore situation taken care of. And we can have so much more. But we currently have neither the demand nor the power. So we shall just kind of leave it there. And now I need to double check how much water I'm bringing in. I need to know, do I have... No, I do not. Okay. But they are just right over there, so it shouldn't be hard to get them. Ooh, spooky. And no, you are not overclocked. Okay. Ta-da! Da-da-da-da! I have motors. Do I have enough motors, though? No, I do not. That is a bummer. Oh, and by the way, Liv, it doesn't have to be 1,000 words long. The thousand word thing is just don't go over that. You know, the 1,030 is the absolute limit, but you know, hopefully 1,000. It doesn't have to be the full 1,000 words long. If it's not all 1,000 words, that's perfectly fine. All right. So, where are they? Where did I stick them? Did I maybe stick them? Did I maybe stick them in the steel factory somewhere? I'm looking for my overdrive crystals. Bonk. Yes, that is perfectly fine, Liv. All right. Oh. All right, so maybe it's somewhere else. Did I maybe stick it somewhere else? That's a bummer. Maybe I stuck it in a copper factory somewhere. There's the 2-hour warning for Satisfactory. Alright, so... it's either in the copper factory or the iron factory that I last had them. No, they're not here. I got a few more minutes, but you know, I can extend it out a little bit if you really like me to. I can, you know, it's not a rigid thing. Okay, so I have one of those here, so did I put them somewhere else? Make him wait. Make him wait. Make him wait. Who said that? Okay, I need those. Okay, so it's not in those. Maybe it's in the... Maybe it's in the little basic factory that I have up and running right now. Yeah, and like the most live, as long as it kind of follows the rules above my head over there, you're perfectly fine in that stuff. So that's all I ask. Okay, let's go over here. Nope, nope. Wait, or do I have... Yes, I have a box over... Ah, here they are! My overdrive crystals! Oh, and I got some more heavy frames here. Nice! Alright. Let's head back to the copper factory so that I can use my overdrive crystals and get the pump up and running a little faster so it can pump some more water for my refineries. Okay. Okay, I'll send my train that way, and then I will go over this way. I should only need one big pump and one smaller pump to do what I need. Ooh, spooky. Oh no! I got my socks wet. Alright, so we'll overdrive this. We'll take you off, and then we shall replace you with a big pump. We should be able to take you and you off. And then we'll put your big pump back on to see kind of where it goes to. Oh, okay, cool. Can I take that small pump off? No, I actually needed that small pump. Okay. Okay. All right. Alrighty then. So how's everybody over in the YouTube chat doing? I know I got a few people over there watching, and I haven't been neglecting you guys. I've been watching you guys' chat. So how's everything going over there? You guys having a good time tonight, I'm hoping? Right. And is that it? Yeah. Hold on. Give me just a second here. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the bummer part. YouTube side of things usually is pretty quiet. So, for those of you watching, just know that I'm not ignoring you. I do watch the chat for anybody who's going to be talking. So, you know, I will talk to you if you talk back. Okay, there's that. Okay, dokie, sure. We want to go here. Okay. Then we want to take. Actually, let's put all the floor holes in. That's going to be a little more of a bear to deal with. Okay. Right. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Yes, I do know the Superman theme song. No, Twitch, do not copyright claim me. Or do not mute me either. Do 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 do. Okay. We still doing okay on verticals? Yes, we. It kind of looks like a chopped up hot dog there for a second. Ah, no. Okay, put you there. And put you there. And we get squeeze one more in here. Yes! All right. Now, let's see if we have enough copper sheets to hook up all the water lines. Oh. Is this one off? No, that one's good. Okay, cool. Weep. Ah! Oh no, we ran out of copper sheets. Okay. Time to go back to the copper sheet factory. Ah. All right. Choo choo. I remember way back in the day, there used to be this. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but Mattel used to have this thing for Hot Wheels. It was this. I think it was this. Like a smoking rig of some kind. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was this big rig that had a, like, on the top of the truck, it had this handle kind of like a motorcycle gas, like a motorcycle twist thing. And you put batteries in there and it would go rum rum rum, but it also had a tank of, like, for what it called, it was smoke fluid. And every time you would go rum rum rum, it would, like, puff out this little smoke, some smoke, and it would heat up this smoke juice and make smoke on it, so that it would, like, every time you hit the handle, rum rum rum, you would put smoke out. Well, it had 2 buttons on it, or 3 buttons really. One of them was the start the truck, or on-off switch. The next one was the horn, and the last one was supposed to be the driver. When you push it, he goes, "Get out of the way!" Oh. Fun times, fun times. All right, so we do have an ad break coming up. So I am going to go ahead and, let's see. I'm going to start in about a minute, so what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to go ahead and manually run it. So that way we don't have to worry about anything when Liv gets her short story done. So don't go anywhere. We shall be back after these massages. we got one last-minute submission written by Liv. Give me just a second over here. Let me go get into where I need to go. And we shall get on that right away. Well, I kind of want to expand on it at some point. I like the characters. Well, heck, some of these short stories could lead to like longer, full-blown novels for some people, And to be completely honest, the whole point of me doing these little or these readings and stuff like that, it's just for fun. Just to get something written, and if you're stuck on something in your main story and you just need a break from your main story, just to kind of work on something that's out of your normal realm. Oh no, I crashed. Oh well. All right. Actually, let me get back out of here. And then what we're going to do, we're going to send the engine home. And then we shall get over safe in a spot so we're not going to get run over by something. Well, it doesn't mean you have to work on it right now. Alrighty. So, let's bring this up. Alrighty. So, this is going to be our last submission of the evening. We're probably going to call it after we get done with this story here, but this will be last submission of the evening. Uh-oh. There we go. All right. So, The Curse of the Mage, written by Liv. Our story begins with a mage, drunk on adrenaline and unicorn blood, stumbling out of the tavern. One hand conjures sparks in the air, while the other fist grasps for a handle-hold on the splintered maple-wood porch. A figure waits for him, cloaked in mist and magic.
Really, Uncle?
The girl's face twisted, nose crinkled.
I thought you knew better than to start a fight with a gnome.
The mage grunted and turned away from his niece. He peered at his glowing fingers, holding them close to his nose and snapping the spark to life. An absurd giggle broke through his lips, and he swayed backwards. The girl caught him with a practiced shoulder, twisting toward the cobbled roadside where the remaining members of the party waited.
Rhea, what did he get into now?
Same as usual,
she sighed, passing off her uncle to sell. The half-giant spared no kindness, roughly tossing the inebriated mage into the back of their wagon.
Oi,
the mage groaned.
better treat me with care, or else what, old man?
Sel chuckled.
You heal me into non-existence?
The mage let loose a pig-like snore.
He'll be okay in the morning.
Rhea shrugged.
Do we need to take care of anything back there?
Sel asked, wiping his calloused hands against his trousers. He nodded toward the noisy overspill from the tavern.
I think we'll be okay,
she said, jumping onto the wagon beside the mage's limp body.
It's better we head back to the inn so we can travel early tomorrow.
You're the boss.
Rhea sat down and narrowed her eyes at the tavern as Sel pulled away. Every town was the same. music, mayhem, and the draw of magical concoctions. Her uncle found it irresistible. Rhea found it irritating.
You shouldn't blame him.
Rhea startled at the rare sound. As one of the few ancient... Oh. You shouldn't blame him. Rhea startled at the rare sound. As one of the few ancient monks left in the world, Serenity often retreated into her own mind, keeping her many years of wisdom to herself except for when it was needed. It was unusual that she would voice such an ordinary statement.
What do you mean?
Serenity tilted her head toward the mage. Healers pay a heavy price for their actions, one that we can hardly understand. Rhea didn't understand. That much was true. Her uncle had been like this for years, and without fail, Rhea was always there to pick up the pieces. Today had been no exception. The battle had been harsh, and the trolls formidable. Rhea touched the tender bruise on the side of her ribs. Despite her uncle's healing magic, it wasn't perfect. But it was a far cry from the angry red wound of earlier. If her uncle hadn't been there, well, Rhea wouldn't be here now. Every time he heals us, he takes from the life force of another creature, Serenity continued. She lifted her eyes to meet Rhea's gaze. He continues to take the lives of others to save those of the ones he loves, most of all yours. Serenity appraised the old mage, still snoring as the wagon knocked the four of them around. He tries not to think about it, I suppose, but it gets to him, eventually. Rhea paused. The gravity of her uncle's burden settled on her own shoulders, too, and she softened.
I think that helps,
she said. Her uncle's tendency to dissolve into liquor after a battle began to make sense. Pleased, Serenity nodded, and the party quieted once more. To Rhea, the rattle of cartwheels and scent of adventure suddenly seemed far closer to a curse than she would like. All right. Thank you very much for that submission. Liv, that was very, very satisfactory. So yeah, that's so far that's been all three submissions this evening kind of went with stuff like to where healing magic, at least your guys' version of healing magic, takes from something else. Did an excellent job with the extended cast. Oh my gosh, thanks for bringing this story to life. You're very welcome, Liv. And again, it was an awesome story, and it was kind of interesting to see that how everyone's story, they all had that what would be quote unquote the dark side of healing is actually taking life from something else to give it to somebody else. Was a twist I was wasn't expecting. Cell's voice was spot on. Thank you. But yeah, that was interesting. Let's see. Is this this one. Okay. So yeah, again, very nicely done, and I'm hoping to see more from everybody. Bang, bang, bang. So, hopefully you all were majorly entertained, if not majorly, at least mildly entertained by stuff tonight. Next week's gonna be, okay, well, if you give me a second here, to do stuff. Next week, I'll give you kind of a rundown. Next week, we're probably going to work on some more of the Copper Factory. And then once that's all kind of set and done, we'll see if we can build up the Steel Factory, which is on the other side over there. And then we'll probably work on building up some more of the power supply or power station that's over there, and then have ourselves a factory that is indeed very satisfactory. But for now, we must look to the future for the next writing prompt. So, if you guys give me a second over here, let's see what the next one... Now, I will admit, this next writing prompt isn't 100% mine. I saw this on Instagram the other day, and it's kind of stuck with me, but this is what the prompt shall be. Give me just a moment over here. All right. So, the prompt for next week is this. Everyone has a soulmate, and you are given a mood ring that shows your future partner's mood. When you meet, the ring will turn gold. One day, you notice the stone in your ring has gone dark, and after a few moments, shatters off of your finger. So, discuss. Have fun. Write it. Let me know what happened to your future partner. And I guess it's kind of relevant being that, Valentine's is coming up. Kind of morbid, I guess, but tell me, what happened? Consider that the consequence would be additive in nature, something about increasing power beyond his control, but Rhea got to me and said no. Yeah, all right, cool. So, yeah, that will be our prompt for next week. So, I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. That being said, I'll bring this back up here in a minute, but this coming Sunday, we are going to go back into MapleStory, where we are going to do some more of the Hayato storyline. Now, unfortunately, due to the way the leveling works and just the way this class, it's a little bit clunky for me. It's taking a lot longer to level up this class than I would have liked. So we're probably not going to get all the way to 200 to finish out the story. But I'll at least get to level 100 so we have some of the story open. And I believe, I'll try to be a little bit more diligent to kind of get into, log into MapleStory, because I think I can get myself a Terra Burning ticket, essentially, and I'll be able to level this character all the way to like level 150 quite quickly, and then I should be able to get from like 150 to 200 relatively quickly from there. So, or hopefully, anyways. And then on Wednesday, I shall be working on some more of Legends of Osiria. I just have a little bit left to do for Chapter 9 of this book, which then I'll be publishing it over on fanfiction.net and Archive of Our Own, if you want to go check that out. Speaking of which, there should be links in the chat if you want to go check it out. Fanfiction is just one gigantic chunk, so it might be a little daunting. Archive of Our Own has it broken up by books, so it's a little less daunting. And then next week we shall come back for more prompt writing, where I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. And yeah, all that good stuff. So, yeah.
There's a feeling deep inside. Let it be your prayer. Show me the power you can hide.
Thanks everyone for coming to the stream, and I hope to see you again next time. If you want to catch whenever I go live, subscribe or follow to become a Coin of the Vault so you never miss a thing. Wherever you're viewing from, have a look around my YouTube channel for more stuff, including the audiobooks of MapleStory the novel Sacred Tears, Sly Cooper Rise of Vexen, and Arcane. Each story is fully voice acted with sound effects and background music so that you can sit down and watch or listen to while you go about your day. You can also find all kinds of previous storylines from MapleStory that I've already done. So, until next time, my friends.
Never be afraid to fall. Throw yourself into it. Victory's waiting for you. Go fight, show your energy. Don't slow down, no time to wait. Nothing's stopping you now. It's gonna be your day. Hopes and wishes never fade. Fight to make them stronger. Nothing will take them from you. Go fight, show your energy. There's a feeling deep